The member for Shortland.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And I'm going to begin where the Minister began, which is talking about Australia's carbon pollution levels, because the Minister wasn't telling the full story. If he was interested in being accurate and fair, he would have noted that last year pollution levels in this country rose by 1.5%. Australia's carbon pollution went up by 1.5% according to the government's own figures. As worryingly, in the last quarter alone, carbon pollution in Australia went up by 0.83% in one quarter alone. Annualised, that is 2.5–3%, Madam Deputy Speaker. So my first question to the Minister is, will he admit that he's failed as the Environment and Energy Minister for this country? Pollution levels are up, he's a failure, and he should come clean, confess and admit that he has failed as Minister. So it's a legitimate question. I look forward to his answer. And further evidence of his failure is that wholesale energy prices in his country have doubled in his tenure. Wholesale electricity prices in his country have doubled in his time as Minister, and they've doubled because of the policy vacuum this government has had around energy policy since September 2013. Their first energy policy was to abolish the renewable energy target. When that failed, they then had the Emissions Reduction Fund, which did absolutely nothing for energy in this country. Then we had the 12 hours, the glorious 12 hours of this government's commitment to the Emissions Intensity Scheme. Who can forget that glorious 12 hours, where the Minister did a great interview on Frank Kelly? It was actually quite a good performance, but it freaked out the fossils in his party room that he had surrendered, he retreated and surrendered within 12 hours. Seriously. The shortest war in the history of the energy crisis in this country, his commitment to the Emissions Intensity Scheme. Then we had the Clean Energy Target for 6 months. The Clean Energy Target for 6 months under Alan Finkel, and now we've got the National Energy Guarantee launched. Normally when you have an energy policy launch, you have like inches of documents. It was an 8-page letter, from the Energy Security Board. Then we had Bloomberg New Energy Finance, who are the premier analysts around the world in this area, who said after 2020, when the current renewable energy target is met, investment under federal policies would likely to fall off a cliff, because the National Energy Guarantee, as currently floated by the federal government, would require very little effort to achieve. And when the Minister's own department was asked about this in estimates last week, whether they agreed with this analysis, the strongest response they could say is, we're unsure. They didn't rebut it, and we had the former CEO of the Clean Energy Finance Corporation, Oliver Yates, saying that the low ambition NEG is woeful and it locks inaction in place.